Tonight, a storm's making its way into the heart of the city. Denver's mostly just slippery wet right now. Action's supposed to pick up overnight with the cold and the snow lasting into Friday. We'll get to 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi in just a moment. But first, Colorado has bad gas tonight. State regulators say diesel was accidentally mixed into unleaded and that gas was sent to stations around the state.
The wrong fuel was delivered to some King Soopers, Costco's, and Murphy Expresses between last night and this morning. 9 News reporter Rhea Jean joins us now with what we know so far about the scope of the issue and the cost to the drivers. Rhea.
Yeah, drivers are now reporting engine failure after filling up at gas stations like the King Soopers I'm at right now. The state has now confirmed with 9 News that contaminated fuel was distributed for hours without anyone knowing about it.
I was at like 60 miles to empty.
We've all been where Cassandra Johnston was.
Need to get gas. This was the easiest option there open.
She stopped at the King Soopers on Ridge Road in Castle Rock and filled up with the one labeled unleaded, but didn't make it too far after that.
Lurch forward, I would get some speed and then it would just stop again. So when the tow truck finally came, we had an idea of like, oh, maybe it's your spark plugs, maybe it's your turbo, or worst case scenario, haha, what if it's your fuel?
That joke didn't last.
So super fun to have diesel in your gas. I made a group in one of our local pages just as like a hey FYI, and immediately found out it was impacting Castle Pines and it impacted Parker.
The state's Division of Oil and Public Safety started getting calls too, about a half dozen complaints so far.
Primarily at 3 retail outlets, I guess, Murphy Express stations, Costco, and King Soopers locations.
Zach Hope is the lead petroleum manager with the state. He says he's been told contaminated fuel may have been loaded onto trucks at the Sinclair gas terminal in Colorado.
You know, this was accidental. Nobody would have known until these complaints started, really. The Sinclair terminal has been aware of it and is remediating the issue by bringing new fuel to the gas station locations that have been affected.
For King Soopers, it was 22 locations. In a statement, they listed gas stations statewide from Castle Rock to Aurora to Boulder that received this contaminated fuel. Zach said these trucks were delivering to gas stations from 2 p.m. Wednesday to 6 a.m. Thursday.
It could be fairly widespread because that terminal does serve much of the state, and so it's possible it would have gone to a number of locations.
Roughly 1,300 is my starting. I think at that point I might be going through my insurance instead of theirs just because it sounds like it's so widespread.
And we know King Soopers isn't the only company they delivered to.
It depends on where that truck went.
We are hoping to get clarification from Sinclair about where those trucks went to, and we also reached out to Costco as well as Murphy Express, but haven't heard back from them yet. If you were someone that was impacted by this, the state is asking you to reach out to them, but also reach out to the gas station that you filled up at. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Man, that's just brutal. I mean, the good news is, right, this is going to be cleared up pretty soon. They're very actively going after it. But if you need to fill up tomorrow morning, just find an option that's not one of the ones that we've listed there. They'll be fine again in a day or so, right?
Yeah. And in the meantime, what do you drive? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rhea.
Maybe staying home is a good option, Chris Bianchi.
Yeah, it's cold.
Elite soup weather today, no doubt about that.
Super weather, yeah.
Just gray, cold, chilly, occasional snowflakes. We have not seen a ton of snow yet, though, in downtown Denver and areas north and east of Denver, but that snow's coming. Not a ton of snow on the way for us here in Denver, but enough that'll make those roads slick. West and south of Denver, though, 3 to 6 inches plus on the way for us across the south and west sides of the metro area. In fact, that snow really starting to pile up for friends in Colorado Springs and north to about Monument Hill. We'll check in live from Monument Hill here in just a second. But now we're slowly starting to see that snow creep up over the Palmer Divide and the southern fringe here of the Denver metro area. Again, Denver, cloudy, cold right now. The snow mostly just off to our south, but you can start to see that lifting from the south, and that will continue to do so as we head over the next little while. Mountains getting that snow, but most of that is west of Vail Pass and out through the Grand Valley. Winter weather advisories here in Teal. Winter storm warning for El Paso County. Colorado Springs may get up as much as 10 inches of snow out of this event. In Denver, though, not nearly as much, though that snow will move in after midnight, mostly targeting the west and south sides of the metro area. That said, still expecting slick roads tomorrow morning across parts of the metro area. I'll pinpoint where and give you a detail about how much snow to expect by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. I want to set things out to 9 News reporter Colton Chavez, who's joining us from the real slick spot right now, which is in southern Dougco over Monument Hill. What do the roads look like there on I-25 there over the gap, Colton?
Chris, to give you kind of an idea of what it looked like coming down here, snow constantly coming down. It's 75 miles per hour on I-25. We were going 40. Now, I know this isn't the first time that snow has hit Colorado this winter, but I think this is actually my first snow live shot that I've done this winter. That kind of talks about how dry the conditions been, and you know, the snow is coming down and it's given us a little bit of everything. Like I said, just behind me here are the southbound lanes of I-25. We've seen snow plows going up and down these roads periodically about every 30 minutes. So the roads are still open. You can see it's still pretty busy with travelers here. Snow sticking to the ground here as well. But I will say, once you get off of these main roads is when we started to see a lot of that snow start to accumulate, and then it makes it for an even slicker and more difficult time getting around. So we say this every time we're out here in snow coverage. If you can stay off of the roads, it's probably best that you do so. But for me, Chris, and everybody in the studio, there is a McDonald's right next to us over there, and a hot coffee is calling my name. Live in Monument tonight, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
Just one day after a woman from Colorado was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, there's another shooting involving federal agents, and this time in Portland, Oregon.
In both cases, the Department of Homeland Security says that drivers tried to hurt officers with their cars. Now, video of the incident in Minneapolis has led some law enforcement and legal experts to seriously question that claim. Let's bring in 9 News anchor Phil Lipoff with details on what we know about today's shooting in Portland. Phil.
Kyle, all the information we have right now on the shooting comes from the Department of Homeland Security as it did yesterday. They say the two people shot by federal agents today are affiliated with Tren de Aragua, though they have not provided any evidence of that. DHS says this was a targeted operation in Portland involving agents, part of what it is calling Operation Oregon. Border Patrol agents stopped a red Toyota on the east side of that city. They claim the driver took off, hitting an agent with a vehicle. That's when another agent opened fire, hitting both people inside. 33-year-old man, 32-year-old woman are being treated now for their injuries in custody at a hospital. Portland's police chief says the FBI is taking lead on the investigation, and his officers only responded to the shooting call. DHS says the passenger was in the country without authorization and connected to a prostitution ring and a recent shooting in Portland. But again, they've not provided evidence of any of that. They say the driver is believed to be a member of TDA as well. That is a gang that President Trump falsely claimed conquered the city of Aurora. What we can tell you is several suspected TDA members have been found and arrested in Colorado over the last year and a half, but police say their presence was largely limited to a few apartment complexes owned by out-of-state landlords who neglected their properties. Kim?
Democratic Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is insisting the state play a role in the investigation of the shooting by that ICE agent that killed Colorado native Renee Good. Today, the state agency that investigates shootings involving officers says it was informed that the FBI and Justice Department would not work with their department. The Trump administration has already concluded Good was at fault and the agent was justified in killing her. Video shows the agent shooting into Good's SUV. Witnesses told NBC News that officers were giving conflicting orders on whether she should drive away or stop. As local prosecutors explore other ways to investigate the case, we are learning more about Renee Good. Good's family tells us she was 37 years old, a mother of 3. She graduated high school in Colorado Springs and briefly attended MSU Denver. Good also attended Old Dominion University in Virginia, where she was an English major and a published poet.
Republicans in Congress voted down a plan today to finish a clean drinking water project in southeastern Colorado. That bill had passed Congress unanimously last year, but President Trump vetoed it as he promises to punish Colorado. And Republicans fell in line with the president today, rejecting a veto override. The Arkansas Valley Conduit was first proposed back in the 1960s, but it only really started to become a reality during President Trump's first term, when he proudly supported the project. But Trump is now punishing, quote-unquote, harsh measures against Colorado in connection with his false election rigging claims. Presidential vetoes are rare. Veto overrides much more rare. But today they tried it. Colorado's Republicans and Democrats united in asking their colleagues in Congress to stand up for their own power and to reject political retaliation.
How would you feel if a project like this in your district, passing unanimously, fulfilled a decades-long promise and was vetoed anyway? That's what these rural communities are facing. My constituents are watching, and your constituents are watching.
Let me be abundantly clear. It does not matter if your community supported Donald Trump politically. If we don't take this step, trust me, no town is safe. No county is safe. No state is safe from political retaliation by the administration.
After the vote, Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert told me she is not giving up on this water project in her district. The next step may be trying to essentially hide that project inside a larger spending bill where President Trump either doesn't notice it or wants the attached spending enough that he'll approve it.
A bill that would extend Affordable Care Act subsidies that have helped hundreds of thousands of Coloradans afford health insurance is headed to the Senate. 17 House Republicans, including Colorado Congressman Jeff Hurd, joined Democrats to pass that bill, despite opposition from GOP leadership. The subsidies expired at the end of 2025. They're meant for people who don't get their health insurance from an employer and who don't qualify for Medicaid or Medicare. Insurance premiums are estimated to double on average if they're not restored. This bill would extend them for 3 more years. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office projects it will cost $80 billion and insure 4 million more people. Besides Hurd, the rest of Colorado's congressional delegation voted along party lines. The bill now goes to the Senate, where Republican leaders have pronounced it dead on arrival. They're working on a separate plan that they say they'll release before the Senate, before they go on recess for MLK Day.